Hello, my name is Mark. I'm a concept artist and illustrator working for the entertainment industry. And here I'm going to show you how you can paint more realistic eyes for your creatures. For this creature, I started with a 3D sculpt from ZBrush, and first I exported different render passes uh, from straight from ZBrush, and the first step is compositing them in Photoshop. So as you can see, I haven't added any textures. I only have the lighting information, what I need, and I'm jumping between the different render passes and erasing them back, depending on what kind of texture or what kind of uh, material information or color information I need from the different render passes. This is a pretty effective way to create creature concepts, to do a rough sculpt in ZBrush, or if you want to use free softwares, you can also use Sculptris. And do a couple of render passes and composite them in Photoshop and then paint them over. Um, it's a really effective tool because you can simply achieve a much more realistic result than in the same amount of time than with painting. So I pretty much finished the compositing pass, and I would like to add just some kind of a background. It's not necessarily have to be really realistic, but if you want to use realistic background, you can still use your own photos or do some photo bashing or photo bashing / painting techniques. I'm just plugged in something to match the background to the lighting of the character and to tie them together. And I I knew I wanted to achieve some kind of forest feel, but I'm also blurring it out. Really blurring it out to just have the feel of a forest or bushes or branches in the background. But that's pretty much I need. Sort of creating a mood around the character and creating a lighting setup around the character. And now I'm pretty much finished with the background. You can see I left it really rough. And now I'm jumping in and I'm starting straight with the eyes because on the eyes, I mean the eyes are pretty much like a big ball. It's nothing. It's no real sculpted information on it or anything. But that's my main focal point, or at least it should be my main focal point as. Uh, because we are as humans we are also we are always checking the eyes of a character first, and that is because that is one of the main uh, points of emotions, of showing the emotions in a human face, or it's a big part of our facial expressions, and so the eyes could be really expressive. So, and it's a big part of human unconscious communication. So that's why I jump in and start with the eyes. So I wanted to create a mix between a goat eye and a human eye. So I checked some reference photos about goat eyes, and I tried to recreate the same sort of shape with the pupil, but I also added and the same structure of the between the iris and the pupil, but I also added just a thin line of sclera. That's the white of the eye, just to bring it a bit closer to the humanoid eye. And this is also it's this is also a really useful trick if you're creating um, an expressive eye for a creature. It's always good to bring just slightly closer to the humanoid eye, because that is what we can relate to as humans. So um, it always could be a bit more expressive and a bit more filled with emotions if it's closer to the humanoid eye. And after that, I plugged in the highlights, and it's sort of finished. I can jump back and forward between the character and the eyes and the different parts again. And now uh, what I usually I'm doing this in ZBrush. What I've done just before to add a bit more expression to the character, because it's just easier to handle in 3D. But if you're not that good in 3D or not that good in sculpting, the Liquify tool is pretty effective to do just slight changes, just like a bit of facial expressions, just to bring it away that static I'm looking forward thing. And now I'm adding more and more texture passes, just with a splatter brush, and adding a bit more desaturated blue light from the left to, and also matching the background to my character again. And I went back to the eyes and added a bit more random details, and uh, to the iris, and I'm also adding small hairs around the eye. With adding small hairs to your creatures, especially if you're designing mammals or sort of humanoid creatures, to add small hairs around the skin, or uh, around the eyes or nose or mouths, always could help to push the realism of your characters. And it's simply because it's even if a mammal seems really hairless, I can assure you it has hairs, even if just small ones, because hair on the skin is basically like a protective barrier for dust and uh, for other contaminations and dirt, to protect the eye, to protect the nose, to protect the ears, etc. So all these small details could help. And here I'm just went over it, and on normal layer I'm adding the final details, sort of like added small cracks and small highlights. But I'm always painting it manually, because I mean rendering is cool and 3D rendering, but it's still not 100% effective. Okay, it is if you're working in the movies, and but those frames and those creatures are done really high poly and on huge render farms, and I just don't have access to that technology, and it takes a lot of time. But for a concept, it's more than enough, and it's also could be really cool to customize your characters and to really make it uh, your your own taste, and have your own kind of signature brush marks on it. And this last step is pretty much just to make it even more realistic. So adding the effects and smoke and dust particles, or leaves blown by the wind, and adding a bit more depth to it, with blurring the edges of the character, and doing some final touch-ups, some color corrections, but also could tie the whole image together. And that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something.